Okay. I think, hopefully, we should have some audio for this stream. That didn't go over very well the first time, did it? That was really rough. I don't even know if you guys are going to be able to hear me that well in this stream. I never live stream on YouTube, ever. So that wasn't supposed to happen, but it just kind of did. So how's it going, guys? What's up? Welcome to the second version of this stream already. Things have gone really great. But I appreciate everybody showing up. Oh man, now that we have audio, I'm actually here 10 minutes late with audio. We're going to talk about Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker. I literally made coffee at like 10 o'clock at night for this stream. So I don't talk about it very much, really ever, but I'm alive, by the way. What's up? I know the showcases haven't exactly been coming out, but yes, I am alive. 2017 divided the Star Wars fan base, right? You had The Last Jedi come out, and everything has just been toxic, awful, everything since 2017. And really, I mean, before that with the prequels too, but it just all started up again, even worse with The Last Jedi. But the point is, the Star Wars fan base has been obviously very divided for the last 2 years, but this review is not going to be spoilers right away. I'm just going to give you my non-spoiler thoughts first up, straight up, and then we'll discuss spoilers afterward. So if you have not seen Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here because that chat, you're going to get spoiled. It's going to happen. So appreciate you being here, but if you haven't seen it, you shouldn't be here. All right, so I personally really had a lot of problems with The Last Jedi, right? And that's where a lot of the problems with Rise of Skywalker stem from. The fact that, and I don't mind anyone who loves The Last Jedi. I just watched it last night and and it was really bad. I've rewatched the entire saga with some friends of mine over the last few weeks. And rewatching The Last Jedi last night really kind of solidified why this film has so many problems and this final chapter in the Star Wars saga, because when you commit to a trilogy and you have the beginning, the middle, and the end, and your middle film takes so much time with side characters and subplots that don't amount to anything instead of your lead actors, your lead characters, it becomes quite a problem, right? And so, I mean, anybody who hasn't seen Rise and you're not looking at the chat, you can definitely hang around. Just don't look at the chat. I'll let you know when we actually start doing spoilers. But The Last Jedi wasted a lot of time, right? So you don't have your middle chapter functioning like it should, and so J.J. Abrams is brought in to do this film and essentially compensate, right? This is just a lot. This is just really exhausting to talk about. Like I said, I have coffee at 10:30 at night because this is just exhausting. But the point is, as I'm dying, this is a hard film to talk about. This is a really tough film to talk about. So watching Rise, the movie, this was the biggest concern I had going into Rise of Skywalker. It's like, when you have this film, and by the way, this is all going to be so raw and unedited. I'm just hanging out. Yeah, I know, Andrew. I am working on it, man. This is all very raw, very unedited. Obviously, I'm still not even talking about it because I don't stream very often. The film just goes like bang, 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 constantly. I mean, it is just constant exposition, random events. Gotta go here, gotta go there, gotta talk to this person, gotta talk to that person, gotta go to that planet. Oh, this is happening now. Oh, this has been happening all along. It's madness, okay? You have, in Rise of Skywalker, you have some of the greatest scenes that we have ever had in the Star Wars saga. You have some of the greatest music, some of the greatest visuals, some of ILM's best work is in this film. I loved certain portions of Rise of Skywalker. I really did. I found a lot of scenes in this film to be really compelling. Very compelling. Some really powerful scenes. I mean, just some incredible stuff in Rise of Skywalker. My expectations were so low that just going in, I was just looking for entertainment. I talk about this, we've been talking about this at length on my podcast, on the MGF Live channel. This needed to be a 3-hour film. This needed to be a 4-hour film. It certainly felt like a 4-hour film jam-packed into 2 hours and 20 minutes. Guys, the story's not good. Full stop. The story's not good. It sucks. It's garbage in this film. The story's laughable. It's actually pretty insulting to every other Star Wars film that's existed, even Solo. Star Wars Rebels has a more coherent storyline overall than this shit. And this sucks. Because I don't consider myself one of those toxic fans who hated The Last Jedi and talked about it for 2 years after nonstop. If people love The Last Jedi, that's great. I think it's a terrible film. But if you love it, that's awesome. You've got a Star Wars film that I don't have, that a lot of other people can't love. That's great. If you love something, you should never let anyone tell you otherwise. Same goes for this film. If you love The Rise of Skywalker, you should stick to it. Stick to that. If you really do appreciate it and you love this film, I loved parts of this film. That's great. I love watching people love Star Wars. I want Star Wars to succeed, to flourish. But this shit was bad. Overall. It's hard because Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Naomi Ackie, Billy D. Williams, Kerry Russell, Carrie Fisher even with the deleted footage, Anthony Daniels, they do some of their best work here. Some of their best work in Rise of Skywalker. I would argue that the cast in Rise of Skywalker, just from an acting perspective, they perform better in this film than they do in The Force Awakens. Not all the time. So, I don't know how long I'm going to go for no spoilers. This is not really connected. This is unedited. This is me coming right back from the theater after grabbing a bite to eat and just talking about the film. So, I love a lot of the film. I love, like I said, the performances, the visuals. I mean, visually, this is the best Star Wars film Disney has put out. Full stop. Visually, this is the best one. But then the story. It's an entertaining watch. But I found myself, usually you can keep up with Star Wars movies, right? Usually you can keep up. This film, the whole runtime is just bam, 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 going to the next thing. We got to go to this thing. We got to go talk to this person. We got to go to this planet. We got to go get this thing. Oh, I can see you there. I'm going to come up there. Oh, this just happened. Oh, we got to go save this person. It's just constant like this, the whole film, until you get to the end. And it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard, man. Because, like I said, I love parts of the film. So, yes, I'm upset at this film. Infamous swoosh in the chat there. Yes, I'm upset at this film. It was alright. Visual, certain scenes was basically the only thing that saved it from being flat and awful. Yeah. Yeah. Because, and yeah, no, you didn't miss the spoiler warning, JB. I'm not doing spoilers at the moment. Yeah, no spoilers now, guys. Appreciate everybody joining in. We're not doing spoilers. right now. I'm just hanging out, talking about the film after just having seen it, and drinking coffee at 10:50 at night. And this is hard, right? And this is why it's hard, because the Star Wars community got so toxic after 2017 again, to just talk about The Last Jedi. Like, my problems with The Last Jedi, no, I don't drink alcohol, Kyle. My problems with The Last Jedi were just that I just wanted more time with Rey and Finn and Poe, and developing Kylo Ren as well, which they did in that film. But the main three, Rey, Finn, and Poe, have them develop, have them, be together. Instead, Rey, you just get more questions. Finn, he becomes a joke for the whole film. And Poe is being made out to look like this hothead the whole film, and then you're spending the rest of the time with side characters. And that's my biggest problem. Those are really my problems with The Last Jedi, kind of in a nutshell, right? And then the total abandonment of logic. And so I don't hate any Star Wars film. I don't hate this one. I don't hate The Rise of Skywalker. I don't hate The Last Jedi. But I'm just pining for the basics here, right? Basic character development with Rey. Basic character development with Finn. Taking advantage of these actors and their abilities. Kylo Ren had a great arc in this movie. Yeah, I would agree. But then it feels like it gets cut short, No spoilers, but I wouldn't say that his arc really... It's not really handled that well. It is an arc, but it's not like it's... His arc in The Last Jedi feels more natural than his arc in this film. Kylo Ren and Luke were the only things I liked in The Last Jedi, as far as the overall story. They should have made a movie with the OG cast and then introduced the new characters. I don't know about that, but the OG cast certainly needed to be stronger supporting roles, and they needed to not die. And they needed to link up. That was a huge problem. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining in, talking about The Rise of Skywalker at nearly 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, after just walking out of my first showing of the film. And this is hard, right? Because JJ was brought in for damage control. Everything with Palpatine, no spoilers, but it's not good. Okay? It's not good. Palpatine's story, if you could even call it that in this film, is garbage. It's garbage. I could not believe how bad Palpatine's inclusion was in this film. And that sucks. Because I want Star Wars to succeed. I want it to flourish. I want it to thrive. But I pretty much already listed out all the things that I loved about the film. Again, to give you guys positives, I loved half the elements of this film. Performances, the sets, everything ILM did, and all the thousands of people who worked on this clearly did an amazing job. Best Star Wars movie visually out of anything Disney has put out so far. I mean, you have side characters that don't take over the film. Billy D. Williams is great as Lando. I mean, service is done to pretty much all characters, aside from Rey, Palpatine, and I guess Ben to an extent. But I don't really... You guys can let me know if you want me to go into spoilers. Okay, let's do that. Type 1 in the chat if you don't want me to do spoilers, and then type 2 if you want me to actually talk spoilers, because I don't want to spoil this if there are a lot of people, a lot of you guys sitting in this chat who have not seen the film or watching. I definitely don't want that. So type 1 for no spoilers for the rest of the stream. Type 2 for, okay, we're doing spoilers. Okay, that's a lot of 2s. Okay, all right, we're doing spoilers. Holy shit, okay. Don't spam, guys. I don't want YouTube to start banning your accounts. Okay, got it. Oh my God. All right, 2 it is. Spoilers. So if you have not seen Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, this is your spoiler warning. If you have not seen the film, this is your spoiler warning. Please close out of this tab, close out of this window. I appreciate you coming and dropping by, but I can't really say anything else about the film without going into spoilers, to be totally honest with you. So, spoilers! Spoilers for the Rise of Skywalker. Holy shit. Is Palpatine... The film starts with him going to Mustafar, where I guess trees are growing back now. If you watch the Vader VR series, Mustafar is growing back trees. I was so disappointed, man, to hear that the leaks were all true. Because I did follow the leaks for Rise of Skywalker. I did. I let everyone tell me spoilers. Because I did not want to get excited for another film that was going to disappoint me. Yeah, Palpatine comes back just to die. Yeah. So, let me just lay out for you why this story doesn't work. And this is not something where JJ can just say, "Oh, well, we don't want to give all the answers." No. This doesn't work. Palpatine doesn't work. I'm going to just start out with him primarily because I love Palpatine, Darth Sidious. If you have followed Sidious, not just in the films, but also in the incredible book Darth Plagueis, which I still consider to be canon because it links in perfectly with the canon to this day. Palpatine is the master schemer. He is the master. His grand design took over the galaxy. This is not a guy who was focused on having a family or spawn or anything like that. It's just so contrived because so they show us Rey's parents finally, right? Palpatine's son or daughter. We don't know which is which. I don't think they ever say which one was actually his kid. But either way, they look like they're 25, 30. Okay, so they're 25, 30, not clones, right? Seemingly born directly of Palpatine. And so that means if Rey was dropped off on Jakku, like what, 8-10 years after Return of the Jedi? That means Palpatine's son or daughter would have had to have been born, like what? You're talking, so like 15 years there, 10 years for Rey, 5 years for the Galactic Civil War, at least 5 to 10 years before A New Hope is when Palpatine would have had children. Or started with whatever work he did that led to a child or a spawn that would eventually give birth to Rey, or however it happened. They don't tell you. We don't find out if Rey is cloned directly from Palpatine. We don't know if Rey was born naturally. We don't know when Palpatine had an affair or if anybody was like having sex with his wrinkly ass as he was like taking over and controlling and dominating the galaxy. We don't know. They don't tell you. You want to know how Palpatine survived being tossed down the Death Star 2 reactor shaft? They don't tell you. I could not believe. I could believe it. Because I had friends tell me what was going to happen in this film. I knew exactly what was going to happen in this film beat for beat. I wanted to know. I didn't want to be disappointed. And I'm really glad that I paid attention to spoilers. I would have been crushed if I didn't look at the leaks. If I didn't have my buddy Corey tell me what was going to happen in this film. After 2 hours of, oh, we got to go to Kijimi. Oh, we got to go to Exegol. Oh, Kylo Ren's got to leave Exegol. Oh, he's got to go find Rey. Oh, there are the Knights of Ren. Oh, we got to get the Wayfinder. Oh, the Wayfinder's over there. Now there's a Wayfinder in the Death Star 2. Now we got to go talk to Lando. Now we got to go here. Now we got to go there. Now we got to do this. Oh, this is happening. It's madness. It's madness. It's total chaos. It is a film littered with incredible scenes. Incredibly moving, powerful, and impactful scenes. I mean, when Rey grabs the transport when she's on Pisana, and then Kylo Ren grabs it as well, that was incredible. Their duel on Kiffer or wherever, above, the Death Star 2 ruins. I guess I should probably go on my video manager and set this to spoilers now. Was great. I loved the final fight, kind of 2/3 of the way into the film, with Rey and Kylo Ren. It didn't have music. I thought it was bizarre that they didn't have John Williams make a track for it. But that was great. There are amazing scenes all throughout the film. But that doesn't compensate for the trash that is the final act. Because then you go to Exegol, and this time it's not Kylo Ren going there. Let me just okay, I know this is all very raw, guys. This is very raw, very unedited. I don't even have my own thoughts straight on the film yet. I just saw it, so please forgive me. But at the start of the film, the opening crawl is literally "The dead speak." It's like, what? And then you're talking about how Palpatine has been heard, and people find out Palpatine is alive, and Leia just knew Rey was a Palpatine. Luke knew it. This is BS. This is crap. I just watched The Last Jedi the night before last. There's no inclination of Rey being. This is contrived. This is not a natural progression of the story. This is JJ clearly intended Snoke to be the overarching villain of this trilogy, and then Ryan came in and blew it. And so it is just so painfully obvious when you get to the end of this film and the characters go to Exegol. I'm struggling to remember the name. We're supposed to believe that not only did Palpatine survive his thrust down the reactor being vaporized by the Death Star's core, he escaped out to the unknown regions on the other side of the galaxy. His dark side force spirit has been inhabiting his dead body while it's been dangling from this apparatus. He's been working with people to create clones of Snoke to be the mascot of the First Order. And then not just that, but he's amassed thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people to create a whole new Imperial fleet of Star Destroyers that all have Death Star cannons. That's right. The Death Star has been miniaturized and just stuck on the bottom of all of these Star Destroyers. So they can just destroy whole planets with one of these. And then on top of the thousands and thousands of loyal Sith, Imperial, whatever the hell it was, you also, inside the main temple that he's been hiding out on Exegol, you have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Sith acolytes that have just been worshiping his dead body dangling there for 30 years? Listen, man, I know I sound upset. I am upset. I care, right? This stuff matters to me. Star Wars matters to me. Star Wars changed my life. And I'm sure in many ways changed all of yours. So this hurt a lot. Because this, not only was all of that so screwed up and obnoxious to whirl at the audience after The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, but a huge problem with this film, of course, is that... Oh, thanks for the super chat, man. And I'm just having my boy Captain Solo return. That was a very cool scene. I love the scene with Han. That was great. I had no idea that was in the film. This negates Anakin's and Luke's story. Because, listen, man, I understand. A lot of people don't like the prequels, including J.J. Abrams. He has said as much. I don't agree, but that's fine. What's not fine is taking the overarching story
that these films are still connected to and pretending like you're doing a soft reboot. Because the story of the original 6 films, yes, we're doing spoilers, Victor. I would bail now if you haven't seen the film. This negates Anakin's and Luke's story because Anakin Skywalker was the chosen one. The chosen one, born of the Force to bring balance. Created by the Force because Palpatine and Plagueis were seriously screwing with the Force. All of the dark alchemy and dark side meditation they were doing was wreaking havoc on the Force. And so the Force, to combat the threat of the Sith, created Anakin to one day bring balance. A prophecy was conceived of. The prophecy did not include that Vader would turn to the dark side, wipe out the whole Jedi Order, then go on 20 years killing innocent people and oppressing the galaxy with a newly formed empire to do it. But Anakin ultimately, by destroying himself and Palpatine, exactly as George Lucas said, destroyed the Sith and brought balance, as the prophecy said. Are there spoilers? Yes, Jake, there are spoilers. I thought I changed the title. I think spoilers should be in the title. I'll go ahead and check on my phone really quick just to make sure. I don't want anybody coming in here that isn't aware there are spoilers here. Yeah, I got spoilers in the title. I probably should have designed it into the thumbnail. I apologize for that. But yes, we are doing spoilers. So now here's the thing. A lot of people are quick to say, oh, but the chosen one is not real. You know, the chosen one, the prophecy was misread. It was misinterpreted. No. George Lucas and Dave Filoni created the Mortis arc, where the living embodiments of the Force, the Father, the Son, and the Daughter, resided on the Force realm, essentially, of Mortis, this other dimension, and he pulled Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka in to not only test Anakin, but to test what he was willing to do and what his capabilities were. And in that test, at the end of Overlords in Season 3, Anakin passes the test. They say, if you tame both my daughter and the son, you are the chosen one. Full stop. These are the full living embodiments of the Force saying this. And Anakin passed the test. He was the chosen one. The end. It's not that the prophecy was misinterpreted or misread. The prophecy was true. And this film negates that. Now, I would like for JJ and crew to come out and say to what extent Palpatine was actually alive after conjuring the Force essences of Rey and Kylo Ren in the final act. Because for the majority of the film, he's just dead body, Ian McDiarmid, painted white with dark lips and blank eyes because he's dead. Then when he absorbs their Force essence, his eyes are back, the wrinkles and prosthetics are back, he's Palpatine again. But it's like, was that just his spirit living in the body still? Or was he actually alive? Because if he was alive, that negates Anakin's story, the whole first saga of 6 films. And Brick Builder Watch, you're saying, yeah, all the Jedi live in Rey now. Anakin himself said it in the film. Rey didn't defeat Palpatine, the Jedi did. That's crap, dude. I'm sorry. I appreciate you being here, man, but that's crap. Because it's like, it was very clearly designed for Anakin to be the chosen one. And he was the one to defeat Palpatine. And that's the thing, right? Going into The Force Awakens, I had no problem leaving Anakin at the door, leaving Palpatine at the door, leaving all of it at the door. Because now we were entering the future. But the moment they bring Palpatine back, and the moment Palpatine is alive and walking around using Force lightning against Rey, that is the moment you ruin Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker stories. I'm starting to wonder if this coffee is actually helping because I'm getting fired up. Yeah, I enjoyed Palps too, Spencer. I did too. I thought Palpatine looked great. I thought he looked phenomenal in the final scenes. I thought Ian McDermott did great. But it's idiotic. The story's idiotic. There's so much great stuff in this film, man. I mean, watching Rey actually being a functioning Force user, and believe it or not, as much as it sucks to be like, oh yeah, before the original trilogy, Palpatine either had a wife and then a kid, or created Spawn somehow and was working on creating his own bloodline off to the side. Even if even though that doesn't really line up necessarily, at least Rey's Force powers make sense, right? Because that's, to me, why I'm okay with Luke being so powerful for part of the original trilogy. Because Luke is the son of the Chosen One. Rey is the direct descendant of the greatest Sith to ever live. How many people died? A lot of people died. I would say the most surprising death scene in the film was Hux. I knew Hux died, but I knew how he was going to die. I knew how bitchy, how bitch of a, how his death would just be like a total bitch moment. But dude, General Pride just pulls out a blaster. It's like, oh, did you like Hux? Blast! And that was it. The end of Hux. I was like, oh, okay. I thought Hux was handled fine, though. I mean, him actually working with the Resistance just to undermine Kylo Ren makes sense, because he didn't believe in Kylo Ren as a supreme leader anyway. And now for some unpopular opinions. Thank you, SB Reaper, for bringing up Leia, because I mean, I'm just talking about this totally. I mean, these are my raw thoughts. I'm not even thinking things through. This is going to be where I think some of you have some really unpopular opinions. Or you realize that I have some unpopular opinions. No, Be the Batman, I'm not going to stop yelling. I am upset. I've had coffee at 11 o'clock at night, and I just saw my favorite film series of all time wrap up in a ridiculous way. So I'm probably not going to stop yelling. But we all love Carrie Fisher. We all love Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher was a gift to the world and still is to this day. Carrie Fisher, to this day and forever, will inspire so many people. And that's what Leia always did. So when it started to come out that no, they would not be digitally recreating Carrie Fisher. And when I was at Star Wars Celebration Chicago, and I was right in front of the cast. I mean, Daisy Ridley and John Boyega looked into my camera. I mean, I saw them all right in front of me. I was right there next to the Star Wars show stage when they all came out after, hours after they debuted the trailer in the Wintrust Arena. I was at Celebration Chicago. I was right there cheering them on. I was right there cheering JJ on. But when he said that digitally recreating Carrie wasn't even an option, part of me wonders what Carrie would think of that. I don't know Carrie Fisher. You don't know Carrie Fisher. None of us knew Carrie. We only knew her from the films, from interviews, and her tweets. But part of me wonders, for the character that defines so much of her life in many ways, would she have been okay with this? Using this deleted footage and sprinkling her in with this deleted footage that barely makes sense in the context of the film. It doesn't fit in well. The Carrie Fisher footage doesn't fit in well. It doesn't. I'm sorry. The moment Carrie steps on screen, she's looking up past Daisy Ridley. It's bizarre. Now, I, for one, despite Tarkin in Rogue One being a little unsettling and a little bit difficult to take in, I would have preferred a digital recreation like those we saw in Rogue One over what they did here. Because they took nothing deleted scenes of Carrie, and they didn't just stitch them in. They didn't just stitch them in. No, I didn't finish Hawkeye. There's Hawkeye. He's still not done. like every other figure I've started this year. They took Carrie, redressed her with CG, repositioned her, put her in new environments, new scenes. They even de-age Carrie at one point. So where do we draw the line? That's my question. Where do we draw the line? Oh, so we can't digitally recreate Carrie for a few minutes, but we can de-age her, redress her, move her around, put her in new locations, have real people hug this extra footage of her. It was bizarre. Yeah, honestly, I think Carrie would have wanted a CG recreation rather than what they did. Yeah. Because Leia defined so much of her life. Do you really think Carrie Fisher would have wanted them to do this instead of wrapping up Leia's story the right way with a few scenes done with digital recreations? And that's always been a big problem for me with how the sequel trilogy has been developed. And thankfully, let me just preface, the Rise of Skywalker has some incredible locations, some incredibly unique and alien locations that look phenomenal, that feel phenomenal, that do, I mean, like the planet, I think it's Kijimi, where Zori Bliss is. Really cool planet. I loved it. Where Palpatine, Palpatine, where what's his name? Little monkey guy. Babu Frick reprograms 3PO. I love that planet. I thought that was so cool. But listen, man, in the sequel trilogy, you've had a neurosis with these films. You have had an irrational clinging to practicality that has damaged the Star Wars franchise in terms of its creativity and inventiveness. Because no matter what you think, or no matter what I think, George Lucas pushed the digital medium forward with the prequels. And there were more miniatures used in the prequels than people realized. A lot of Mustafar was actually miniatures. Theed was a miniature. A lot of the CG locations you see in the prequels are actually real. But yet, the Disney era of Star Wars, The Mandalorian included, clings to forests, deserts, to snow forests, more deserts. We've had 3 or 4 desert planets introduced with just these films. This film has another forest planet. We get another desert planet and another forest planet in this film. It's insane. Wouldn't you guys want to see Mustafar again? Or and we do see Mustafar, but not the way you think. Wouldn't you want to see Megiddo or Geonosis? Or wouldn't you want to see something like Umbara or Felucia? Wouldn't you want to see something new with the CG we have today at our disposal? The money that they can throw at this. This clinging to practicality has damaged the franchise. It's not as bad in Rise of Skywalker. It's not as bad in Rise of Skywalker. Kifbur, or wherever the hell the Death Star 2 wreckage is, looks pretty great. The tidal waves are pretty great that they're fighting alongside. There's no music in the fight, which is bizarre. But this clinging to practicality has damaged the potential of these films. It has damaged the potential that they had for wrapping up Leia's story. And it's just a shame. Why was C-3PO reprogrammed? So at some point, 3PO was programmed to not read or divulge Sith text. I don't know where that came in. I don't know if the Jedi and the Clone Wars programmed that into 3PO or what. But basically, they get the dagger with the Sith text on it, and he's like, oh, I know exactly what this says and where the Wayfinder or whatever is, but I can't say it. My programming forbids it. And you know when you have to take an external hard drive and reformat it to get it to work? That's basically what he said. You have to reformat 3PO and wipe his memories to be able to get him to speak that Sith code, and it's absurd. And you have this whole emotional... It's, you know, in the trailers, when you have that big moment of taking one last look, sir, at my friends. And it's this big moment of the trailer. You think Palpatine is... Palpatine, I can't even think straight, guys. 3PO is going to lose his memories, and it's going to be a big emotional scene, right? Nope. Rey, Finn, Poe couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. It is not hammed up to be like an emotional scene at all. They're like, they can't wait to get out of the room. They could not care less about 3PO's memories. So the trailer was deceptive in that way. And then literally the moment that 3PO gets back to the base, R2 just jams his freaking, droid whatever arm into 3PO's head and just restores 3PO's memories. It's like, oh, R2 just has a copy of 3PO just on him. It's like, okay. I love 3PO in the film, though. I really did. I like 3PO a lot in this film. Honestly, I would say 3PO is almost better in this film than a lot of the original trilogy. I thought 3PO was utilized better. Not that part, but everything else. And 3PO has some great humor. Anthony Daniels did a great job. R2-D2 has a few more things to do in this film. Unlike The Last Jedi, where he only gets one scene. You absolutely love the movie. Nico, more power to you, man. Go see it again, and please enjoy it for the rest of us who can't. Please. I say that honestly and sincerely. Like it's actually a nice thing to feel somewhat isolated when other people enjoy the film. Because at least Star Wars gets a future, as long as people are enjoying it, right? Am I going to make Cal Kestis? At some point, hopefully. He's not on the priority list, though. I love that game, though. I played all through Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, Ryan, it hurts to not like it. What's up, dude? Yeah, but I liked parts of it. I really did. I liked how Palpatine looked. I liked the fight. I liked the Death Star 2 ruins. I liked how Rey has matured. I liked the chemistry between the three leads, Rey, Finn, and Poe. I thought they all did great when they weren't bickering. But man, I think what really makes the film a tough watch, if you want to like step aside and not even look at the story or the plot and you want to turn your brain off for this film, the structure and the pace is insane. It's insane. It's completely insane. The film is just totally off the wall. I mean, scenes lasting 30 seconds, just bouncing back and forth. It's nuts. Structurally, not even talking about the shit story, it's a mess. I am a little stressed, Savage. I didn't expect to be. I kind of thought I'd be a bit more neutral walking out of the film. But it's really a weird conflicting feeling when you half love a film and then half just pretty much despise it. Take Adderall before watching. Yeah. Honestly, dude, Ryan, I found that I lost track of what was going on at least 3 or 4 times in the film, where I was genuinely like, oh, what did they just say? What did they just talk about? Where are we going? What do we have to get? I lost track many times because it's just moving so fast and so unnaturally. It's bizarre. And it's very clearly J.J. Abrams trying to, I can't even talk, J.J. Abrams trying to compensate, right? Because listen, man, at the end of the day, in The Last Jedi, DJ, Rose Tico, Admiral Holdo, and all the subplots that amounted to nothing, they took up a lot of screen time. that could have been given to Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo Ren. And we could have had them developed so that this movie didn't have to move this fast. But instead, Rian Johnson blew it with half that film. So you had a lot of wasted time. And it sucks. And I mean, you see, like, Infinity War is fast-paced and a major event film, right? But at any point, do you feel overwhelmed watching that film? At any point, do you feel like something doesn't make sense or like you're struggling to follow along? It's because the characters were developed properly. They didn't need to compensate. And so, did I mind that Kylo Ren dies at the end? No. I don't care. I don't mind that he dies. Right? Yeah, there is audio. There is audio, brother, from the other brick dude. Yeah. The first stream didn't work out so well. Turns out you really can't change your mic settings after you start. It's pretty wild. Doing a basic stream like this. But the thing about transferring and by the way, how wild is it in Rise of Skywalker when Rey literally, when they're confronting that snake, when they're underground on Pisana, she heals that snake. And it's a powerful and moving scene. But there haven't been Jedi healers like that. Right? Like Luminara and Barriss Offee could heal. Yes, there are porks, again, in the film. There are porks. Not very much, but very briefly when she goes, yeah. But there's never been force healing like this before. And so when she's healing the snake, it's just like, oh, that's a thing now. Okay, Rey just knows how to do that. That's just an ability she learned on her own. It's like, okay. And Baby Yoda, obviously, in Mandalorian has, force powers, and no spoilers there. But it's like, to introduce it in the films, never mind the shows or anything else, it's like, you can't just introduce a major ability. Like, that's not just freezing lasers in place. That is literal, complete healing of critical wounds. She impales Kylo Ren and then heals him. And then apparently he knows how to do it because then he does it at the end too. And you could tell JJ was trying to make it into a surprise because at no point during that scene do you get any indicator that that Ben is dying, right? It's just, he puts his hand over her abdomen and then she wakes up and Kylo Ren's fine. He's fine. Not a problem. They kiss. He's more than awake. He's good to go. Then he just drops dead. And it's like, you see, thankfully I knew all this was coming. I knew this film pretty much almost beat for beat, at least the important stuff. And boy, am I glad I did. Because if I was watching this film and I didn't know what was happening, and I avoided spoilers, I would have been really upset. Probably even more upset than I am now. So, I apologize if I'm coming off more rash and more upset than I want to. It's just hard. Because I think back to the kid who was watching the Star Wars saga for the first time the first couple years, and in 2007, after rewatching all 6 films for the umpteenth time, do people still use that word? Probably not. It's not really a word. Wondering if there would ever be an episode 7. And then we got an episode 7. And then I think back to that kid in 2015 thinking, because I remember how big my hopes were for episode 9 and what the inevitable conclusion to this incredible new trilogy would look like. I didn't think it would look like this. I didn't think it would be a big, loud, bombastic, compensating film trying to make up for mistakes that just asks you to turn your brain off. I'm not a fake fan. You know, I'm not. I'm not. I don't want to be lumped in with everybody who just hates the sequel trilogy. I have a lot of I mostly really despise The Last Jedi, but there are things in that film that are really great. A few things. But I'm not gonna. I would never attack anyone for liking it. I think that's great. Again, what do I think of the yellow lightsaber? Ugh. So the final ending scene where she goes back to Tatooine and has a look around Luke's old homestead. So my sister kind of put it in a really nice way. That Rey doesn't really take on the name of Skywalker, you know, in the sense that she's just kind of stealing the name. It's more so that she looks to Luke and Luke and Leia as Force ghosts and kind of receives their blessing to change her name. But listen, a name change to get her name to be Rey Skywalker? Are you kidding me? There was no plan. There was no plan with this trilogy. They brought in J.J. Abrams to build The Force Awakens and create a film that was nostalgic enough and new enough to win the world over, to get the world to fall in love with Star Wars again. And he did it. Star Wars was back. And then they went and scooped up Rian Johnson, and by no fault of his own, they told him, we believe in you. Make the Star Wars movie you want to make. And guess what? That's what Rian Johnson did. His idea of a Star Wars movie is bad, but that's what he did. You have to do what Kevin Feige does. Yes, you give them creative control, but you have an outline or at least a general idea of the direction that the story needs to go, and you say, okay, don't do this, don't do this, but do that. Just lay out some basic through lines for the director, for the writer, and then make the film. George Lucas didn't always have it figured out. He never did. He never had it figured out with the original trilogy. He never figured out how to figure it out with the prequels. He did. He was still making things up as he went along. Of course he was. That's how films are made. That's why reshoots are so great. Reshoots are actually a great thing. But to not have any plan at all, or to take JJ's plan and not follow it. Is Rey still a Mary Sue? No. Even though it's garbage and it ruined. Basically, what they did, the simplest way I can put it, they ruined Palpatine's character to save Rey. They ruined Palpatine. But by doing so, they got to say Rey was a Palpatine. And so therefore, she's the direct descendant of the greatest Sith to have ever lived. And so that's why she's powerful. She's an evolution of Palpatine. That's exactly what they went for. And so at that point, I don't think she's a Mary Sue. In the same way that Anakin, you know, it's like Anakin was the chosen one. That's why he excelled. But even he needed 10 years to train, the chosen one himself. And so one scene, of course, that I really want to talk about is when Rey, I believe, is about to defeat Palpatine, and she's looking up to the stars. I think Ben has already since been flung off into the abyss. And I want to make sure I talk about this before I wrap up the stream. A big scene in the film is when Rey's looking up to the skies of Exegol. She's seeing the big fleet being destroyed by Palpatine's super force lightning that he can just use now because he has the dyad power of Rey and Kylo Ren combined within him to destroy essentially the largest fleet the galaxy has ever seen in this film. And when she's looking up to the stars and reaching out, trying to connect with the Jedi, as she does kind of throughout the whole film, you start to hear Jedi voices. First up is Ewan McGregor. Rey, these are your final steps. He's still going. Yeah, I am still going, Jared. How long has it been? An hour? Yeah. I only wanted this to be 30 minutes. But you hear the voices of Hayden Christensen as Anakin, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka says something like, Rey, let the Force guide you or lead you as it once led us, which was really cool. You hear Kanan. You hear Mace Windu. You hear Luminara Unduli, Adi Gallia, Ayla Secura. Listen, man, I'm a huge fan of the prequels. You guys know that. Of course, I grew up with them. I love Ayla Secura. But Ayla Secura was a Jedi Knight. So let me pose this to you. In J.J. Abrams' effort to appease prequel fans, I appreciate that he brought in Hayden Christensen. Listen, man, and yes, like Opie, it does confirm Ahsoka is dead, which I think is natural. She should be dead by this point in the timeline. Ahsoka is my third favorite character of all time, but she should not be alive at this point in the timeline, so that lines up and makes sense. But let me pose this to you. In their effort to appease prequel fans, and again, let me say this first. I appreciate Hayden Christensen being brought in. I appreciate Ewan McGregor. I appreciate Ashley Eckstein. I appreciate Samuel L. Jackson. I really appreciate that you at least hear their voices like that. I thought it was very... Hats off to JJ for bringing all those guys in to do voice lines. It's very difficult in the moment to distinguish between them. But in that scene, you also have Ayla Secura, Luminara Unduli, and Adi Gallia thrown in there. And it's like, listen, man, it's so random. It's like if you want to take Jedi Council members or Jedi from the Clone Wars who were really in touch with the Force, who would make sense to be able to speak to Rey, even without being Force ghosts. Ayla Secura was a Jedi Knight, and I love Ayla, but she was never that in tune with the Force. Luminara Unduli was kind of cold and a little heartless, so it's not really great that she's there. You know what Jedi would make sense from the Clone Wars to speak to Rey, besides, the main ones, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka? As much as I appreciate them all being in there, don't get me wrong, I can't believe it even happened. You know what makes sense? Plo Koon, Sase Tin, Kit Fisto. I mean, Evan Peel. If you want to start pulling random Shock T. You want to start pulling random Jedi from the Clone Wars to force in here. Forgive the pun. Like, why are you getting Jennifer Hale to do Ayla Secura? Like, that was JJ just going to the story group and being like, all right, we need some prequel Jedi. Who have you got? Who can we bring in? And it's like, Ayla Secura? Why not like Quinlan Voss? Why not Shock T? I'm surprised Ezra wasn't in there. I guess Ezra might still be alive. Guys, I liked Rise of Skywalker to an extent. It's like picture essentially what Rise of Skywalker is. It's a train ride on broken tracks. That's what it is. And along those tracks, you had some really good patches that were fine, and some really great sequences that were fine. Some really great acting from the cast. Some incredible visuals. I mean, ILM, man. I find ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, to be pretty much the most inspirational company in the world. I mean, ILM, they literally take anything from the imagination and make it reality. And it's incredible in this film as well. Oh yeah, and Yoda is in the scene as well, of course. Incredible visuals. Incredible soundtrack from John Williams. Not his best. Not even memorable, really. Some really powerful scenes. Some incredible lightsaber duels. That's one thing I really appreciated. In a world where we had that really bad Darth Maul duel in Rebels that did no justice to those characters and was more focused on having ninja samurai Kurosawa references than actually servicing the characters on Rebels with Obi-Wan and Maul, where we're afraid to give them a lightsaber duel, not even a lightsaber duel, but even just a brief exchange of lightsaber clashes, not even a full duel. Where we had that, where we had The Last Jedi, where it was more of a standoff than anything. In a world where Disney is afraid to do lightsaber duels, I really appreciate they went back on that. Yes, Qui-Gon was in was in that scene as well. Thank you, Ted and Lego Pete. I appreciated the lightsaber duels in this film a lot. Pull stroke, Anakin is in the film, but it's only his voice. You only hear his voice like 2 or 3 times in about a 30-second margin, like a 30-second window. That's it. But he is in it. You do hear Anakin. Hayden Christensen did record lines. But man, when you get to the end of the film, and she looks at the Force Ghost of Luke and Leia and just says, "What's your name?" "I'm Rey. Rise Skywalker." It's like, well, Luke and Anakin in the in the realm of the Force and the afterlife, they better link up with the Force priestesses to get some Force Ghost life luck, because Rey just straight up, with their blessing, steals their name. So again, I cannot commend the good things about this film enough. There are some scenes in this film that will move you, some scenes in this film that are thrilling, that are compelling, that will keep you on the edge of your seat, that you will not expect. But listen, man, the story is horrendous. The story is insulting to the series. The story is insulting to everybody who watches it, because it demands that people turn off their brains. And Star Wars is not just for 12-year-olds. That's the one thing I disagree with George Lucas on. The only thing. And with anybody who says it. Star Wars is not just for 12-year-olds. It is not just for kids. If Star Wars was just for kids, it would not be as rich and as detailed and as lore-heavy and as incredible as it is, as far as building characters and its universe. If it was just for kids, George wouldn't have done politics to cover the rise of the Empire and the prequels. You wouldn't have been talking about the Senate. You wouldn't have been talking about the courts. And you wouldn't have been talking about the different little details for how everything functions. Star Wars is for everyone. And I wonder if George saw this film. Because he wasn't at the premiere. And part of me wonders, was he too busy? Was he with family for Christmas? Did he just not want to go? Or was George Lucas sending a message? It's got to be one of the three. It's got to be one of the three options. I hope it's not the former. I hope it's not the latter. The last option where he didn't want to go to send a message that he does not support the film. You really enjoyed the story, Ted Smith. It was evident JJ had to make up for lost time, but I enjoy what JJ wanted to do. I enjoyed what JJ wanted to do as well. But he didn't have time to do it. You would have had to have set up Palpatine in The Last Jedi. But to get to this film and to just suddenly say, after all that vagueness and ambiguity, Rey is a Palpatine. Palpatine is alive. He's amassed an army of thousands of Star Destroyers and thousands of people to build a Sith army and an army of thousands of other Sith cultists with no explanation for how he even survived, got the resources together, how those people got out there to live out there on that planet with him for that long. It's mayhem. It's mayhem. It's total chaos. The film is chaos. The Rise of Skywalker is chaos. The Rise of Skywalker is a chaotic film that demands that you turn off your brain and just try to grab hold of the best parts along the ride as the ride is breaking down. And that's the Rise of Skywalker. And that is it for this stream. I don't really have anything else to add. So last minute, really quick, guys. If you want to, I'll just hang out for a minute here and just read some replies. Some of you guys, what you're saying. I don't stream very often in case. This is very new to me, of course. I don't do this like ever. We had 2 films of setup thanks to Rian Johnson and JJ not doing anything, so I blame Disney for not being on the ball. So do I. It was a lack of foresight. So much for the protection of the characters we love and making them live in the way George intended. So much for the new characters. It hurts, man, because I believe that they found the perfect cast to shepherd the series forward. With Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac. I think the 3 of them are fantastic. I can't imagine better actors for this trilogy. I so believe in them as a cast, and I think it's a shame that they will never be able to realize their full potential with Star Wars because of circumstances beyond their control around them. So I'm done. I'm going to record a 10-minute video. Probably, I don't even know if I will. Honestly, I might just leave this stream up, my initial raw reactions. But that's all this has been. My initial raw reactions walking out of the film and hanging out to just spew them out in this stream. That's it. That's all I did here. That's all I wanted to do, and I appreciate everybody hanging out. I'm probably going to do that 10-minute video, and I might record it now and then post it tomorrow. But what you guys do have to look forward to is Rey and Kylo Ren mini showcase coming up soon. Just need to finish up Rey's legs here. This is actually Anakin's lightsaber, so I have to make a new lightsaber using my buddy Aaron's design, which I still think is the best one. And LM9 Productions, by the way. And then Kylo Ren's helmet. I literally took the Last Jedi Kylo Ren helmet, the sculpt by Sonder, cast by Andrew Vu, my good buddy Vu, back at the beginning of 2018. And I just painted the cracks. I'm still working on painting the cracks and finishing it. But if you guys want to see the preview photos for these figures while I still spend the next couple days finishing them up, so I can do the little mini showcase with the 2 of them, you can definitely check out the preview edits like the one you saw in the thumbnail clicking on this video over on my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, it's all already up over on Patreon as well. And what an exhausting experience. It's not what I pictured episode 9 to be like. It's not what I pictured this night to be like. It's not. I honestly just want to go watch Revenge of the Sith to just kind of cleanse the palate. Favorite film of all time. That's all ended. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for being here for this unorthodox stream. I know it's very raw, using an old built-in webcam. Nothing about this stream really, from a technical perspective, was good.
But I appreciate you guys hanging out. Have a good night. I hope you enjoyed the film. I hope you can still enjoy the film, regardless of what I say, regardless of what anyone says. This was just me being honest. I hope I didn't taint your perspective on the film or anything. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted to be honest. And just make sure I recorded this night. That's all. So I'll see you guys in the shorter Rise of Skywalker review, let's talk about video, and then the mini showcase with the 2 figures. Thanks for hanging out. Take care, guys.